My master has left me here and went out for a drink. It's getting late in the evening. He must have drunk and gone somewhere else to find me. By the way, let me introduce myself. Hello everyone, I am Tiger. You want to know why I am Tiger? Then watch this story.
Rakshes and Gheskshes. Long, long ago, in a quiet village, nestled amidst the hills, there lived two close friends. One was deaf Shyam and the other was blind Ram. Despite their disabilities, they supported each other in every way possible, working together to earn a living and survive. One day, when no work was available in the village, as the village is suffering from a drought, they decided to leave in search of better opportunities elsewhere.
Blind Ram, this drought has dried up the village. There's no work left for us here. Deaf Shyam, this land has nothing left for us. Let's leave the village and seek our fate in another town.
They packed their belongings and set off on a journey toward a new land, hoping to find work and a better livelihood. Before leaving, they made an agreement.
I will be your ears and you will be my eyes. Whatever I hear, I shall tell you. Whatever you see, you must guide me. That way, we can overcome the problems we might face on our journey. As you say, my brother.
As they traveled through a dense, wild forest, the blind Ram suddenly heard the bray of a donkey nearby. He quickly alerted,
Brother, I heard the bray of a donkey nearby. I want you to find it. It might be useful on our way. As you say, my brother.
The deaf Shyam spotted the donkey not far from the path, and they decided to take it along as a carrier to help them on their journey. Further along the trail, the deaf Shyam noticed a large sack filled with clothes lying by the roadside.
Blind Ram, there is a sack filled with clothes. Someone might have lost it in the forest. We will load it onto the donkey, as it could be of use or value later.
The deaf Shyam agreed and hoisted the heavy sack onto the donkey's back. Soon after, the deaf Shyam came across a pair of massive bison horns lying on the ground. They added the horns to their growing collection and continued their journey. As the day wore on, the sky turned dark. Thick clouds gathered and a fierce wind began to blow. Rain started pouring down heavily, and the trio deaf, blind and donkey found themselves drenched and struggling to move forwards. They needed shelter and fast. In the distance, they spotted the ruins of an old, crumbling castle.
Brother, I can see a ruined castle nearby. Let's hurry to the castle. This heavy storm might kill us.
With no other option in sight, they rushed inside to escape the storm. The deaf Shyam was the first to take in the eerie soundings. The castle was in ruins, its halls littered with human skeletons, and ominous silence echoed through the cold stone walls.
This might be a Rakshasa's demon's lair, a place of danger and dark magic. Don't worry. If danger comes, we'll face it together. I'll find a way to protect us.
Soon after, the blind Ram heard loud, thunderous footsteps approaching the castle. The ground seemed to tremble with each step. Alarmed, he warned the deaf Shyam through signs that someone or something was nearing them. Moments later, a deep, menacing voice roared from outside the castle walls.
Who dares to hide in my castle? Come out now, or I shall eat you alive! I am a mighty Rakshasa! If you're a Rakshasa, then we are the Gheskshes, and we eat Rakshasas.
The Rakshasa, startled and confused by this bold response, paused. He had never heard of a creature called Gheskshes before, let alone one that claimed to eat Rakshasas. Curious and slightly anxious, he called back,
I don't believe you. If you are true Gheskshes, show me your belly!
The blind Ram gathered for him to lift the large sack of clothes and display it through the castle window. When the Rakshasa saw the massive sack, which appeared even larger than his own belly, he hesitated. Doubt began to creep into his mind. But still not fully convinced, he demanded,
Show me your face!
The blind Ram whispered to attach the giant bison horns to the donkey's head and position in front of the window. The Rakshasa, upon seeing this terrifying creature with huge horns, stumbled back in fear. Desperate to confirm,
Make a sound! Let me hear your voice!
At that moment, the deaf Shyam noticed a line of ants crawling near him. Without a second thought, he scooped up a handful of the ants and dropped them into the donkey's ears. The donkey instantly reared and let out an ear-splitting, tortured bray that echoed through the forest like a beast from the underworld. Terrified beyond measure, the Rakshasa screamed and fled into the forest, never to be seen again. The deaf Shyam was overjoyed that the terrifying Rakshasa had fled in fear.
Brother, you saved us today with your intelligence. I owe you one.
And together they began to explore the mysterious old castle. Room by room, they wandered through the eerie corridors. Cobwebs hummed from the ceilings and the dust coated the ancient stone floors. But then, in a dark corner of the castle's basement, they stumbled upon something extraordinary. A massive pile of glittering treasure, gold coins, jeweled ornaments, silver plates, and rare gems stacked high like a mountain.
Blind Ram, here is a massive pile of glittering treasure.
Amazed, the deaf and the blind men gathered as much treasure as they could. They stuffed the golden riches into the large sack they had been carrying and tied it securely to the donkey's back. At the break of dawn, with the first light of day shimmering through the trees, the three of them quietly left the haunted castle behind, hearts pounding with excitement, minds dreaming of a better life. Far away in the depths of the forest, the Rakshasa had reached his cousin's cave.
Brother, why are you so scared? They called themselves Gheskshes. One had a belly larger than mine, one had a monstrous face with giant horns, and their voice, it was so powerful, it could shake the earth. Gheskshes? We've never heard of such creatures. If they eat Rakshasas, we must deal with them before they find us.
Moving through the forest, shaking the trees with each powerful step, they were ready to confront the mysterious beings who had dared to challenge one of their own.
Brother, I can hear the Rakshasa's voice. I think he's nearby, maybe with a few others.
The deaf Shyam scanned the forest and spotted two towering palm trees standing beside a massive rock formation. An idea sparkled in his mind.
Follow me.
The three companions, the blind, the deaf, and their loyal donkey, climbed to the top of the large rock. Working swiftly, they arranged themselves into a terrifying formation. The two palm tree trunks, tall and straight, looked like massive, towering legs. The bulging sack of treasure, tied tightly on the donkey's back, formed an enormous bloated belly. The donkey's head, with the fearsome bison horns still attached, served as the monstrous face, fierce and grotesque. Deaf and the blind each held large tree branches in their hands, stretching them outward to resemble gigantic arms ready to strike. From a distance, the whole formation looked like a towering forest giant, something larger and more menacing than any Rakshasa had ever seen. Just as they finished setting up the illusion, the Rakshasas arrived nearby.
Wait, what is that?
They all stared in horror.
It's a Gheskshes! And it's even bigger than we imagined!
The Rakshasas didn't wait to find out more. They turned and fled, crashing back to the forest in absolute panic, never to return again.
Brother, you saved us today with your intelligence. I owe you one.
The three companions, the blind Ram, the deaf Shyam, and their loyal donkey, climbed down from the rocky formation after the Rakshasas had disappeared into the forest. Relieved and joyful, they continued their journey to the woods, finally reaching the nearby town as the sun began to rise. The two friends decided it was time to divide the fortune equally, but greed crept into the deaf Shyam's heart. Knowing the blind Ram couldn't see, he slyly took a larger portion of the treasure for himself, stacking his pile a little higher. However, what he hadn't counted on was the blind Ram's sharp instincts. The blind Ram gently ran his hands over the piles. Sensing the unevenness, he frowned. Realizing he had been cheated, anger surged with him. Without a word, he reached out and struck the deaf Shyam hard on the ears. The deaf Shyam, shocked by the blow, stumbled back only to suddenly hear the world around him for the first time. The wind rustling through the trees, birds chirping, townsfolk talking, it was like music to his ears. Enraged in return, the deaf Shyam swung his arm and punched the blind Ram squarely in the face. The blind Ram cried out and stumbled, then blinked in disbelief. For the first time in his life, he could see. The two stood in stunned silence, staring at each other, overwhelmed with emotion. And then, without hesitation, they burst into laughter, tears streaming down their faces. They embraced one another tightly. The treasure now seemed secondary compared to the miracle they had just experienced. With grateful hearts, they divided equally and fairly. From that day on, the two lived happily ever after, no longer blind or deaf, but bound forever by the power of friendship, courage, and a little bit of cleverness.